bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Hello and welcome to Millennium News TV 24/7 Global News Update. My name is Todd David Goldfinger, and here are today's top stories. Thank you for being with us. The man charged with opening fire in a Brooklyn subway car full of people was jailed without bail Thursday, as prosecutors told a judge he terrified all of New York City. Brought into Brooklyn federal court without handcuffs, a subdued Frank James, 62 years old, softly answered standard questions about whether he understood the charges and the purpose of the brief hearing. His lawyer later asked the public not to prejudge him. James was arrested in Manhattan after calling a police tip line to stay where he was Wednesday, a day after the nightmarish rush hour attack left 10 people with gunshot wounds and countless others fearing for their safety on the nation's busiest subway system. Authorities say he unleashed smoke bombs and dozens of bullets in a train full of morning commuters. He's charged with a federal terrorism offense that applies to attacks on mass transit systems. Authorities say there's currently no evidence linking him to terror organizations and are still trying to derive a motive. Next news. A Southern California shoe store owner accused of shooting and wounding a 9-year-old girl when he opened fire at shoplifters agreed Thursday to be returned from Nevada to face charges in the case. Police have said that Markel Cockrell, 20 years old, fled from the California desert city of Victorville in his car just after the girl, identified by family members as Ava Truniak, was mistakenly hit by bullets on Tuesday as she waited to have her picture taken with a mall Easter bunny. Cockrell, 20 years old, stood in court and told a Las Vegas judge that he understood that California authorities had 30 days to extradite him. He was not represented by an attorney because Nevada does not provide lawyers for extradition cases. Cockrell co-owns the shoe store Soul Addicts at the Mall of Victor Valley and was chasing two shoplifters about 6:30 p.m. Tuesday, when he fired shots that, in quotes, instead hit the 9-year-old female victim, end quotes. Victorville police said in a statement. The girl suffered 3 gunshot wounds, including 2 in an arm. Her grandmother, Moraga Saldarelli, said. One of the bullets fractured an arm bone. Next news. Next news, please. The coronavirus pandemic ushered in what may be the most rapid rise in homeschooling the U.S. has ever seen. 2 years later, even after schools reopened and vaccines became widely available, many parents have chosen to continue directing their children's educations themselves. Homeschooling numbers this year dipped from last year's all-time high, but are still significantly above pre-pandemic levels, according to data obtained and analyzed by the Associated Press. Families that may have turned to homeschooling as an alternative to hastily assembled remote learning plans have stuck with it. Reasons include health concerns, disagreement with school policies, and a desire to keep what has worked for their children. In 18 states that share data through the current school year, the number of homeschooling students increased by 63% in the 2020 through 2021 school year, then fell by only 17% in the 2021 through 2022 school year. Around 3% of U.S. students were homeschooled before the pandemic-induced surge, according to the U.S. Census Bureau. The rising numbers have cut into public school enrollment in ways that affect future funding and renewed debates over how closely homeschooling should be regulated. What remains unknown is whether this year's small decrease signals a step toward pre-pandemic levels or a sign that homeschooling is becoming more mainstream. Next news. Jackie Hunt Broersma runs like a woman possessed. And, in a way, she is. The amputee athlete is trying to run at least 102 marathons in 102 days. Good for her. Last month, a little more than 2/3 toward her goal of setting... Oh my goodness. Sorry about that. Last month, a little more than 2/3 toward her goal of setting a new world. A native posted something on Twitter that got people talking. In quotes, the first thing I did after my run today was take off my leg. Felt so good, she tweeted. In quotes, Marathon 69 done. 31 marathons to go. That was last month. My goodness. Okay, Marathon 69. Okay, that was last month. And she's still running, covering the classic 26.2 mile, that's 42.2 kilometer marathon distance day in, day out. Rain or shine. Occasionally on a treadmill, but mostly on roads and trails near her home in Gilbert, Arizona. If her streak remains intact heading into the Boston Marathon on April 18th, it'll be marathon number 92. Unlike the 30,000 others running the storied course, Hunt Broersma, 46, will have done a marathon the day before. Somehow, she'll have to rally body and soul to run another day after, and another day after that, and then 8 more days. We're going to take a short break from the daily global English news of Millennium News TV 24/7. Please stay with us. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Hello and welcome back to Millennium News TV 24/7 Global News Update. Here's the continuation of today's top stories. Thank you for being with us. President Joe Biden said Friday he plans to nominate Michael Barr, the Dean of the University of Michigan's Public Policy School, to be the Federal Reserve's Vice Chairman of Supervision. The selection of Barr comes after Biden's first choice for the Fed post, Sarah Bloom Raskin, withdrew her nomination a month ago in the face of opposition from Republicans and one Democrat, Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia. Raskin's critics had argued that she would apply the Fed's regulatory authority to climate change and possibly discourage banks from lending to energy companies. But with Barr, Biden noted the importance of politics in a Friday statement that said his nominee had previously cleared the Senate on a bipartisan basis. In quotes, Michael brings the expertise and experience necessary for this important position at a critical time for our economy and families across the country, end quotes, Biden said. Next news, please. Reps Lucy MacBeth and Carolyn Bordeaux flipped two longtime Republican congressional districts in Atlanta's northern suburbs by running against then-President Donald J. Trump and his divisive brand of politics. But as they fight to keep their House seats this year, they're competing against each other. Another new congressional maps approved by the Republican-controlled state legislature made MacBeth's district more conservative. She decided to compete for Bordeaux's seat. That's pitting two colleagues from the same party against one another ahead of Georgia's May 24th primary. The race is an uncomfortable development for Democrats who would prefer to celebrate the inroads they've made in Georgia, culminating with Joe Biden becoming his party's first presidential candidate to take the state in 28 years. Rather than building on that success, which was driven in part by support in Atlanta's suburbs, the primary is pitting two rising of the party's stars against each other. Next news. Dozens of Republican leaders in Ohio are mounting a last-minute effort to urge former President Donald J. Trump to endorse J.D. Vance in the crowded upcoming primary for an open Senate seat. A draft letter circulating among Republicans and obtained by the Associated Press calls on Trump to remain neutral in the race. It was written following a news report that Trump was going to endorse Vance, a step the former president has not yet taken. But the letter is a sign of anxiety among some Republicans about which candidate Trump may pick in advance of the state's May 3rd primary. Vance has come under particular scrutiny for some of Trump's most loyal supporters for criticizing the former president in the past, something the Republicans highlighted in their letter. In bullet points, they remind Trump of Vance's past comments, including references to potentially supporting Hillary Clinton and comparing the former president to, in quotes, another opioid. In quotes. We know there are many qualified candidates in this race who have stood up for the America First agenda over the years and have carried the Trump mantle over the years, again, with the notable exception of J.D. Vance, end quotes. They wrote, in quotes, while we were working hard in Ohio to support you and make America great again, J.D. Vance was actively working against your candidacy, end quotes. Next news. Going to the next news. Georgia Democratic gubernatorial candidate Stacey Abrams cannot immediately begin raising and spending unlimited campaign contributions under a state law passed last year because she is not yet her party's nominee, a federal judge ruled Thursday. Abrams and her One Georgia committee filed a lawsuit last month challenging the constitutionality of the new law, which allows certain top elected officials and party nominees to create, in quotes, leadership committees that can raise campaign funds without limits. But they also asked the judge to order the State Ethics Commission not to take any action against them if they continue to raise money before the primary next month. This court will not rewrite Georgia law to enable One Georgia to stand in the same shoes as a leadership committee that, in plaintiff's view, is operating in violation of First Amendment, end quotes. U.S. District Judge Mark Cohen wrote in his order. We're going to take a short break from the daily global English news of Millennium News TV 24/7. Please stay with us. Thank you.
Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Hello and welcome back to Millennium News TV 24/7 Global News Update. Thank you so much for being with us. Here's the continuation of today's top stories. North Korea is marking a key state anniversary Friday with calls for stronger loyalty to leader Kim Jong-un. But there was no word on expected military parade to display new weapons amid heightened animosities with the United States. The 110th birthday anniversary of Kim's late grandfather and state founder, Kim Il-sung, comes after North Korea conducted a spate of weapons tests in recent months, including its first full-range intercontinental ballistic missile launch since 2017. Experts say North Korea aims to expand its weapons arsenal and ramp up pressure on the United States amid long-stalled nuclear diplomacy. Let's work harder in devotion to our respected comrade Kim Jong-un, and on that path ultimately realize the dreams of our great president Kim Il-sung to build a powerful socialist state, end quotes. The North State-run website Uriminzakiri said in a commentary, the North's main Radang Sinmun newspaper said North Korea is revering Kim Il-sung as eternal president. Under the outstanding leadership of comrade Kim Jong-un. Kim Il-sung's birthday is the most important national holiday in North Korea, where the Kim family has ruled under a strong personality cult since the nation's founding in 1948. Kim Jong-un is the third generation of his family to rule North Korea after his father, Kim Jong-il, died in 2011. Next news. Next news, please. Samantha Mawala recalls she was taking a shower at her home in Tonga when she heard what sounded like a gunshot, so powerful it hurt her ears. As she and her family scrambled to their car to drive inland, ash blackened the sky. The world's biggest volcanic eruption in 30 years sent a tsunami around the globe, and the first waves washed across the road as Mawala drove to safety at the airport with her terrified husband and 2 sons. A volunteer with the Tonga Red Cross, Mawala, 39 years old, was soon attending to the cuts other people had suffered as they escaped, and giving them psychological support. She said about 10 of them stayed for 2 days at the airport until they got the all clear to go back home. In quotes. People were all shocked, she said, but I got to mingle with them, help them, get them to be confident. It's a small little island, and we got to know each other in 2 hours. End quotes. 3 months after the eruption, Tonga's rebuilding is slowly progressing, and the impact of the disaster has come into clearer focus. Last week, the Prime Minister handed over the keys to the first rebuilt home of the 468 of the government plans to reconstruct across the islands as part of its recovery program. Next news. Next news, please. China said its military staged exercises Friday to reinforce its threat to use force to bring Taiwan under its control, as U.S. lawmakers visiting Taiwan made a pointed and public declaration of their support for the self-governing island democracy while issuing a warning to China. The 6 lawmakers met with Taiwanese President Tsai Ing-wen on Friday morning and were also scheduled to meet with the island's defense minister. The military drills conducted by the People's Liberation Army's Eastern Theater Command in the areas opposite Taiwan were, in quotes, a countermeasure to the recent negative actions of the U.S., including the visit of a delegation of lawmakers to Taiwan, end quotes. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Zhao Lijian said, China would, in quotes, continue to take strong measures to resolutely safeguard its sovereignty and territorial integrity, end quotes, Zhao added. China is against any official exchanges between Taiwan's government and other foreign governments because it claims Taiwan is part of its national territory and not an independent country. China and Taiwan split after a civil war in 1949. Next news, please. The day after the bloodletting, 62 gang killings that convulsed El Salvador, the crackdown began. Before dawn on Sunday, March 27th, 2022, just hours after Congress approved a state of emergency, heavily armed police and soldiers entered the packed, gang-controlled neighborhood of San Jose El Pino. Freed from having to explain an arrest or grant access to a lawyer, they went door to door, dragging out young men. They established a perimeter with barbed wire barricades where they controlled who entered and who left, demanding identification and searching everyone. President Nayib Bukele has responded to the surge in gang killings with mass arrests in poor neighborhoods like San Jose El Pino, each day posting the growing arrest total and photos of tattooed men. The highly publicized roundups are not the result of police investigations into the murders in late March, but propel a tough-on-crime narrative that critics are calling punitive populism. In just over 2 weeks, more than 10,000 alleged gang members have been arrested, a huge number for a small country of 6.5 million people. They can be held for 15 days without charges, one of the measures decried by international human rights groups and the U.S. government. We're going to take a short break from the daily global English news of Millennium News TV 24/7. Please stay with us. Thank you.
Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Hello and welcome back to Millennium News TV 24/7 Global News Update. Here's the continuation of today's top stories. Thank you for being with us. Asian shares fell in muted tradings as most world markets were closed for Good Friday and other holidays. Benchmarks declined in Tokyo, Seoul, and Shanghai. Sydney, Manila, Bangkok, and Hong Kong were among Asian markets observing holidays on Friday. US and European markets also were closed. Shutdowns in major Chinese cities due to coronavirus outbreaks and the war in Ukraine are weighing on sentiment. In quotes. The Russia-Ukraine conflict inflation effects are now more meaningful than direct military developments in a market sense. These consequences have fabricated an uncertain environment that could keep investors wary. In quotes. Stephen Innes of SPI Asset Management said in a commentary, in quotes, "It should be a quiet session given the Good Friday holidays." End quotes, he added. The head of the International Monetary Fund warned Thursday that Russia's war against Ukraine was darkening the outlook for most countries and reaffirmed the danger high inflation presents to the global economy. Next news, please. Retail sales rose modestly in March, but higher prices for food, gasoline, and other basics took a big share of consumers' wallets. Retail sales increased 0.5% after registering a revised 0.8% increase from January to February, reported the U.S. Commerce Department Thursday. Spending has fueled by wage gains, solid hiring, and more money in banking accounts. January's increase of 4.9% was the biggest jump in spending since March 2021, when American households received a final federal stimulus check of $1,400. But soaring prices on everything, particularly at the gas pump, are making shoppers choosier about how they spend their money. Excluding an 8.9% increase at gas stations, overall retail sales slipped 0.3% last month. Overall, the retail sales picture was mixed, but shoppers still showed resilience in spending. Economists said business at general merchandise stores was up 5.4%, while sales at clothing stores rose 2.6%. Restaurants had a 1% increase. But online sales dropped 6.4%, while auto sales were down 1.9% as auto companies faced a vehicle shortage. Major retailers will be issuing quarterly earnings reports next month, which will give a fuller picture of the state of the consumer. Next news. Next news. California is sticking with its coronavirus vaccine mandate for school children, but it won't happen until at least the summer of 2023. Governor Gavin Newsom's administration announced Thursday. Last year, California was the first state to announce it would require all school children to receive the coronavirus vaccine. But it hasn't happened yet because Newsom said he was waiting for regulators at the U.S. Food and Drug Administration to give final approval to the vaccine for school-aged children. At the time, Newsom estimated the mandate would take effect for the start of the 2022 through 2023 school year. But while federal regulators have authorized use of the coronavirus vaccine for children as young as 5 in an emergency, it has still not given final approval to anyone younger than 16 years of age. As the calendar inches closer to the fall, school administrators had worried they would not have enough time to implement the vaccine mandate, in quotes. So based on these two facts, we don't have full FDA approval. And we recognize the implementation challenges that schools and school leaders would face. That we are not moving to have a vaccine requirement for schools in this coming academic year, and no sooner than July 2023, end quotes. California Health and Human Services Secretary Dr. Mark Ghaly said in an interview. Next news. The Food and Drug Administration on Thursday issued an emergency use authorization for what it said in the first device that can detect COVID-19 in breath samples. The Inspect IR COVID-19 breathalyzer is about the size of a piece of carry-on luggage, the FDA said, and can be used in doctors' offices, hospitals, and mobile testing sites. The test, which can provide results in less than 3 minutes, must be carried out under the supervision of a licensed health care provider. Dr. Jeff Shuren, director of the FDA Center for Devices and Radiological Health, called the device, in quotes, yet another example of the rapid innovation occurring with diagnostic tests for COVID-19. The FDA said the device was 91.2% accurate as identifying positive test samples and 99.3% accurate at identifying negative test samples, in quotes. Inspect IR expects to be able to produce approximately 100 instruments per week, which can each be used to evaluate approximately 160 samples per day, end quotes. The agency said, in quotes, at this level of production, testing capacity using the Inspect IR COVID-19 breathalyzer is expected to increase by approximately 64,000 samples per month, end quotes. This has been the Daily Global English News of Millennium News TV 24/7. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being with us. We love you. Please log in to get the latest news on all of our social networking sites: Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Millennium News 24. Also, our YouTube channel is News Channel M24. Viewers, we love you so much. Now on both network broadcasting, Android and iOS devices, Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV. Also, all smart TV platforms. Please enjoy our latest entertainment, latest news, views, current events, our Millennium TV apps, Millennium TV USA, Android, Millennium News, Google, www.millenniumnews24.com. Please stay with Millennium News 24/7. Thank you. God bless and peace. Whatever you believe in.